Hi, my name is Carl Stafford, I guess around here known as Mr. Stafford. I am a high school speech theater English teacher at Savannah High School in Savannah, Missouri. However, this past summer, for 3.5 months, I was a full-time speech theater English teacher at Clarinda Academy in Clarinda, Iowa. Clarinda Academy is a residential school that houses delinquent youth from around the country. If they've messed up or misdemeanors, felonies, it ranges from them all. If somehow they're mixed up in the system, they come to Clarinda Academy for a better start. Well, these are kids from the ages of 12 to 19, so you do need a school there. Residential schooling compared to public schooling, they both have their pros and cons. First, let's go ahead and discuss the pros of public schooling. Obviously, public schooling, is more of an open place. Students have more of an open environment. They have more of, a place and more actual time to come to you if it's more after school, if it's before school. They just have a lot more freedom. And that really helps out a teacher and an educator, because when you have students with those open schedules, you're able to accommodate to their open schedules as well. But when they don't have those schedules, it's probably not that good. However, some of the cons of public schools will be an attendance problem. I teach in a rural school in Missouri, and every single one of my students have missed at least 1 or 2 of my classes. And there are some days when I have some students that's been gone literally 50% of the time. And these aren't just absences. These are excused absences because they're involved in so many other events. Well, you may be involved in events at residential schools. However, at residential schools, there's more of a chance that you won't have that problem. So public schools, that's the problem, the attendance problem. And you got these things going on, and that's the thing about public school. And you also have more of a cut and dry administration sometimes. From what I've seen at the public school, and you're more open to do what you need to do. You have a lot bigger support system because you have whole districts that you worry about at these public schools. You got principals, superintendents, assistant superintendents, secretary of the district, things like that. So you got a lot of support here. Well, compared to residential schools, you don't really have that attendance problems. The students are there, and they have a structured environment, and they have more on-set requirements to meet. And you see they have a very, very structured environment to show up to school. So the attendance is a lot better at residential schools. However, students don't more so have those freedoms. They have places by certain times that they have to, that they need to be. So for, extracurriculars and some things like that can be a little tougher to do these things, but the attendance is great. As a teacher, something that I love, the fact that my students are there. If they're there, then that's 75% of the problem solved. And that's really hard to get at my public school a lot. And you have a lot of more makeup work, which teachers can tell you is the worst thing. Okay, that's what I've come to learn. So less makeup work at the residential schools. However, you don't have more freedom to meet with students and teach them because they have more places they have to be at certain times. Like I mentioned before, they're very structured environments. So they have places they need to be more. To whereas public schools, you may not have students that's involved in much, then they can come and meet with you, or whenever they're not, they have the freedom to. So, like I said, both of them have the pros and cons. But in residential schools, you handle your classrooms more, I've seen as a teacher. I have to get the problems out of the way because I only have so high up the ladder I can go compared to public school where you got a really big ladder. All right, it's like a 3-foot ladder residential school, more like a 12-foot ladder in public school, if that makes sense. And so you really got to handle your classroom, which is a pro and con because you need more support from your classroom, but you also need to, do things more on your own sometimes in the teaching. So it's just how you twist it. But I do like to say I love the great attendance I had at residential school compared to what I have at public school. But I do love the hours. Like I can come in and work with students. I'm an assistant debate and forensics coach. So I'm able to come in and work with students sometimes at 7 o'clock in the morning and stay as late as 6:30. And I just can't do that at residential schools because they, like I said, they have places they have to be. So both of them are good for the communities and environments and what they're trying to push towards. But they both have their cons and they both have their pros. So like I said, my name is Mr. Stafford, and I do now teach at Savannah High School. It's a rural school in Savannah, Missouri, and I taught at Clarinda Academy in Clarinda, Iowa. And that was a residential school that housed delinquent youth. I've been grateful enough to see some of the best and worst of both worlds, but they both are really good.